Growing Up Nightclub. Chapter 8. Shanna.
I decided to invite all of our employees from both clubs out to one of our shows at the Horn, kind of an employee meet-and-greet thing. Of course, my real motive behind this was to try and impress Katrina without making it obvious. The following Sunday night, my peeps were filtering into the Horn. Me and the guys were on stage doing our thing when Katrina, Holly, and another good-looking girl walked through the front door and made their way to the bar. I was nervous and excited at the same time as she and the crew cheered us on after each song. I could hardly wait to go on break and hopefully be able to talk to her. After we finished our first set, I grabbed a beer from the bar and made my rounds saying hello to everyone. Finally, I made my way over to the table where Katrina was sitting with Holly and a ravishing redhead. "Hey, glad y'all made it out. Are you having a good time?" I said with a beaming smile.
"Hey, Jeff, y'all sound great,"
Holly proclaimed.
"I didn't know you were in the band. You guys are really good. I mean, really, really good,"
Katrina said in an excited voice. "Thanks, we've been playing together for quite a few years. We just get up there and have fun. Y'all look amazing, by the way," I said somewhat awkwardly.
"Well, thank you, sir. If you have a minute, grab a seat and sit down with us,"
Holly insisted. "Thanks," I obliged as I pulled up a chair and sat next to Katrina.
"How long have you been playing?"
Katrina asked as I took a sip from my beer. "Since 5th grade. Do you play any instruments?"
"Wow. Well, you're really good."
She moved her hair from in front of her face with her small fingers and took a sip of her drink, then continued.
"No, not really. I took piano lessons when I was little, but my hands are too small."
She giggled.
"I really love watching people play live. Something about it just gets to me."
I felt a wave of excitement overcome me. Maybe she was giving me a hint. I didn't say anything and just smiled back at her. My gaze turned to the attractive redhead sitting next to Katrina. "I'm Jeff, by the way," I said as I reached my hand out to her.
"I'm sorry. This is my roommate, Shanna,"
Katrina announced. "Nice to meet you, Shanna," I replied as she reciprocated my handshake.
"Nice to meet you too. I've heard a lot about you,"
Shanna replied with a big smile and a slightly manipulative look in her eyes as our hands parted. "Really, all good, I hope?" I jokingly asked as I glanced over at Katrina, who appeared embarrassed because of Shanna's comment. Shanna was a stunning girl as well. She had smooth, milky white skin with cute freckles around her nose that faded onto her cheeks. She had thick, long, natural red hair, full lips accented with bright red lipstick, and her green eyes were striking. Holly chimed in,
"So, what are you going to do after this, Jeff?"
"I don't have any plans. Why?"
"We were talking about having a few drinks later by the—"
"You ready to go?"
my bandmate suddenly asked from behind me as he tapped me on the shoulder. "Yep, I'll be there in a sec," I quickly replied as I glanced toward him, then looked back at Holly.
"Sounds like duty calls. I'll talk to you later about it,"
Holly continued. "Yep, duty calls," I replied. I got up from my chair, chugged the last of my beer, and glanced around the table with a big smile. "Well, I better get back up there. Y'all have fun." "Dang it, cock blocked by my own band member," I thought to myself as I got up from the table and made my way back to the stage. I was giddy as we finished up our last set of the show. We were packing up our equipment when Holly approached the stage.
"Great show, dude,"
she said in a tipsy voice as she gave me a high five.
"We're heading out to my place to have a few drinks by the pool. You're welcome to join us if you want."
"That sounds good," I said with an uncontrollable grin on my face.
"Perfect. See you in a bit?"
she asked. "I'll be done here in about 20 minutes, then I'll be on my way," I replied. Yes, this is exactly what I was hoping for. My plan was working, I thought to myself. I watched them leave as me and the guys finished packing up our things. After thanking my buddy for hosting my employees at his bar, I stopped by the Quickie Mart, grabbed 2 12-packs of beer, and headed to Holly's apartment. I found the girls at a table by the pool with a half-empty bottle of tequila, laughing and having a good time.
"Hey, there he is,"
Holly shouted.
"Come have a shot with us."
She continued, "Let's do it. Pour it up." We all sat around the metal table telling stories and joking around as we continued to pound tequila shots chased down with the beer I had brought. Katrina and Shanna talked about how they met after Katrina moved to Gainesville. They asked me about the clubs and how that all came to be. I gave them the short version, of course. Shanna explained that she did some bartending when she was the assistant manager at Bennigan's when she lived in Jacksonville, and that she now worked for a marketing firm. Holly talked about horses and working on her family's ranch in Ocala. The conversations were flowing freely, and we were getting drunker as the night went on.
Let's move this party upstairs,
Holly suggested as she stood up, slurring her words and swaying from the alcohol in her system.
I have all kinds of booze up there,
She continued. We gathered up our mess and stumbled up the stairs to Holly's apartment. Katrina collapsed on the couch in the living room as Shanna made her way over to the stereo and blasted some dance music. I made my way into the kitchen with Holly in tow to break out the alcohol. What can I get you girls? I asked loudly while pulling out several bottles of liquor from the cabinet.
Tequila!
Katrina shouted from the couch.
Vodka and Red Bull.
Shanna shouted.
Yeah, vodka and Red Bull.
Katrina shouted in a slurred voice, agreeing with Shanna. I poured the drinks and made my way into the living room, somehow managing not to spill. Katrina was laying on the couch, half passed out, while Shanna was dancing by herself on the other side of the room in front of the entertainment center. I set Katrina's drink down by her on the coffee table as Shanna motioned me over to dance with her. Holly took her drink and stumbled to her bedroom. No sooner did I start making my way over to Shanna, carrying our drinks, one in each hand, Shanna danced her way over to me, spun around, and pressed her cute round butt against my groin, moving her hips to the beat of the music while I held both drinks above my head. I matched her rhythm for several minutes. She then turned to face me and proceeded to unbutton my shirt as we continued to dance, exposing my chest and abs. I glanced over at the couch across the room and saw that Katrina had completely passed out with her full drink still sitting on the coffee table. In a matter of moments, I felt Shanna's hands unbuttoning my jeans as she continued to sway her hips to the music. I was still holding both drinks in my hands, glancing around the immediate area frantically trying to find a place to set them down. She then pulled my jeans and boxers down over my hips as the music continued to blast in the room. I noticed how her bright red fingernail polish on her small, pale hand contrasted against my tanned midriff as she slowly went down to her knees. She stared up at me with a hungry, sexy look in her piercing green eyes, then gently gripped the base of my manhood with her hand as her mouth took all of it in. My semi-foggy mind couldn't quite comprehend what was happening as I watched Shanna's bright red lips and little white hand slowly work up and down my now rock-hard shaft. Her long red hair was hanging past one side of her face and covering her back. My eyes closed and my head tilted back as songs by New Order continued to blare in my ears. Shanna sped up her rhythm as my hips moved back and forth, gently thrusting into her warm mouth while her wet lips and soft hand quickly slid up and down my rod. My body began to tremble, and my legs began to shake as Shanna swallowed all of me into the hilt. I could feel the back of her tongue pulsing as she gripped my leg with her other hand and held me there as I moaned in ecstasy while unloading down her throat. After releasing me, she slowly stood up with a look of gratification and satisfaction, then proceeded to zigzag her way toward the bathroom. I looked back over at Katrina, who was still passed out cold on the couch. I was standing there in bewilderment with my pants around my ankles, still holding both drinks in my hands, trying to process what just happened. I quickly set the drinks down on the floor, pulled my pants back up and halfway buttoned my shirt. I reached for the volume control on the stereo and turned down the music. Shanna returned from the bathroom and stumbled across the living room with a sly grin on her face. She made her way to the counter by the kitchen and started to gather her things. I walked over and met her at the door as she was about to leave, but I didn't know what to say. I just stood there and stared at her for a few moments as she looked back at me smiling.
That was fun. I had a good time tonight,
she said with an alcohol-induced slur as she stepped halfway out the door. Me too. Where are you going? What about Katrina?
She'll be fine. Holly will take care of her. I'm catching a cab home. She can drive the car back in the morning,
she said as her body swayed. As she turned toward the stairs, she continued.
I'll see you later. Be careful going home.
I will, you too. I got a lot later start drinking than y'all did, I replied as I gave her a quick wave goodbye. I watched her stagger down the stairs as I slowly closed the door. Man, that was unexpected. What the fuck just happened, I thought to myself. I walked over to the couch where Katrina was dead asleep. I stared at her for a moment, wishing it was her instead of Shanna that just happened with. I turned the stereo off, then walked back to Holly's room to find her half undressed, sprawled out on the bed asleep as well. I picked up all of the cups, gave the kitchen a quick cleaning, then made my way back to my place. After a long shower, I laid down on the couch with the TV on, contemplating everything that had occurred. Damn it! If Katrina finds out that Shanna gave me a blowjob, I'm not going to have a chance in hell with her. This sucks, I thought to myself. I started chuckling out loud, thinking about this sucks and how I was literally just sucked. It reminded me of what my dad said.
That's the fun part of being in the bar business, son. You never know what's going to happen next.
End of Chapter 8. Make sure to hit the bell icon so you don't miss a chapter. Also, hit like and subscribe to help grow this channel.